You've tried to change before, maybe a few times. You set the intention, you pushed yourself, maybe even made some real progress. And then somehow you ended up right back where you started. And believe me, that's frustrating. But here's what I want you to know. That's not a willpower problem. It's not a discipline problem. And it's definitely not because something is broken in you. Today I'm going to walk you through exactly why that keeps happening and the framework that actually helps it stick. So we've covered a lot in this series so far. In the first video, which was called Why Results Feel Random, we talked about why results can feel totally random even when they're not. And in the second video called What's Really Creating Your Life, we pulled back the curtain on the hidden mechanism behind why we keep getting the same outcomes over and over. The role of familiarity, identity, emotional baseline, and the nervous system or the paradigm. And today we get to the part everyone's really waiting for. How do you actually change it all? How do you stop recreating the same familiar patterns and start building a life that actually reflects who you want to become? And I want to say this up front. Change is genuinely possible. Not in a feel-good quote on Instagram kind of way, in a real grounded, repeatable way. But it doesn't happen through sheer force. It happens through awareness, repetition, and identity level reinforcement. That's the framework for today. And if you really let this land, I think it'll shift the way you approach growth entirely. So why do most people stay stuck? Well, here's the thing. Most people try to change their life by going after the symptoms. They want to feel more confident, so they try to act confident. Understandable. They want more money, so they try to force better financial habits. They want peace, so they tell themselves, just calm down. And some of that can help in the short term. But lasting change? It usually doesn't come from surface level fixes alone. It comes from working with the deeper pattern that's underneath. The first step in real change is awareness. Not self-criticism, not shame, just awareness. You can't sustainably change what you refuse to actually see. And at the same time, you don't need to hate a pattern to outgrow it. You just need to see it clearly enough that it stops running completely on autopilot. This is why I keep coming back to awareness. Because when you start watching a pattern, it starts losing some of its automatic power. That's a bigger deal than it sounds, believe me. Here's why I see a lot of people trip up. They notice a pattern and immediately go into shame mode. Why am I still doing this? Why can't I get it together? I should be so much further along by now. Believe me, I've been there many times too. And honestly, that reaction feels totally natural. But what it actually does is reinforce the old identity. Because now the pattern isn't just being seen. It's being wrapped up in a story of, I'm not enough. And that keeps the old emotional atmosphere running. So here's what I'd invite you to do instead. When you notice yourself shrinking, just observe it. When you feel that financial tension creep in, just observe it. When you feel that urge to pull back right after making progress, observe it. When the overthinking kicks in, observe it. You see, you're not pretending it isn't there. You're not indulging it either. You're just becoming conscious of it. And consciousness interrupts automation every single time. There was a turning point for my own life. For me, one of the biggest shifts wasn't some dramatic external exchange. It was the moment I started quietly noticing my patterns as they were happening. How I tensed up around money. How I'd feel uncomfortable when things were actually going well. How certain kinds of uncertainty would pull me right back into old reactions. And that little bit of observation actually created a space. Not a huge amount at first, but enough. Enough to realize I am not the pattern. I am the one watching the pattern. That distinction matters more than most people give it credit for, believe me. Because once you know you're the observer, not just the automatic reaction, you have room to actually choose something different. Here's something that might sound a little counterintuitive at first. If you want a new result, you often need to build a new relationship with the thing before the external result fully shows up. For instance, let me explain. If you want more money, you need a new relationship with receiving it, holding it, managing it, and trusting it. If you want more peace, you need a new relationship with stillness. If you want more success, you need a new relationship with being seen, with responsibility, with trusting yourself. If you want better relationships, you need a new relationship with openness and emotional safety. A lot of people are waiting for the external result to change how they feel on the inside. But usually it works the other way around. The internal relationship starts shifting first. Not perfectly, but intentionally. And that's how you start reconditioning what feels normal. Now let's talk about identity for a second. A lot of people think identity changes because you say a new affirmation a few times a week. And there's some value in that, believe me. But in my experience, identity actually deepens through actual lived evidence and repeated reinforcement. Meaning, you start becoming someone new by repeatedly thinking, acting, choosing, and responding in ways that align with the vision of you that you're growing into. And small things really matter here. Every time you interrupt an old pattern, you're sending yourself evidence. Every time you stay present instead of spiraling, it's evidence. Every time you make a grounded decision instead of a fear-based one, it's evidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, it's evidence. Every time you sit with the discomfort of something new instead of running back to what's familiar, that's evidence. And evidence changes identity. That's why you don't need to become a completely different person overnight. You just need repeated moments where your actions and your awareness start lining up with who you're becoming. I hope you're getting this. Here's a simple model that you can actually use in your everyday life. Number one would be notice the old pattern. Number two, name the script underneath it. Number three would be choose one small response that belongs to the new version of you. Notice, name, choose. For example, you feel that familiar tension around money. You name what's happening. And you say, this is the part of me that still believes money is unstable. Then you choose a new response. I'm going to slow down, look at the numbers clearly, and make one grounded decision. Or you notice yourself wanting to pull back right when visibility starts to really increase. You name it. This is the part of me that still feels unsafe being fully seen. And then you choose, I'm going to post it anyway. That's how change becomes something that you can actually practice. Not by pretending the old pattern is gone, but by learning to respond from your new identity before it feels completely natural. A new life often feels unfamiliar before it starts to feel like home. People sometimes assume that when they're on the right track, everything will feel easy and obvious. But sometimes the right path actually stretches you in really uncomfortable ways. Sometimes receiving more feels strange at first. Sometimes speaking more boldly feels awkward. Sometimes peace feels really unfamiliar. And sometimes consistency feels really unusual. That doesn't mean you're off track. It might just mean you're becoming familiar with a new version of yourself. And that's completely part of the process. Here's another principle that really matters. When we're scared, overwhelmed, or in that activated state, we tend to fall back into old patterns even harder. So, before you try to reinforce a new identity, it helps to regulate your state first. Slow your breathing. Pause. Ground yourself. Take the urgency down a notch and sit with the discomfort without immediately reacting to it. This isn't weakness, by the way. This is actually really smart because a regulated nervous system can choose, but a dysregulated one just reacts. And if you keep reacting from old activation, you keep strengthening that old familiarity. So one of the most practical things you can do to change your life is simply get better at staying present long enough to choose a different response. Let me give you a few simple things that you can do every day to make this real. 1. Once a day, ask yourself, how did I think, feel, or act around the thing I'm working to change today. Just notice it. No judgment. Number 2, watch the story you keep repeating to yourself. Instead of, I always do this, try, this is an old pattern that I'm becoming aware of now. Instead of, I'm bad with money, try, I'm building a new relationship with money. Language either locks identity in place or opens it up. So choose your words with real care here. Number 3 would be, do one thing each day that matches the person that you're becoming. One grounded decision, one honest conversation. Maybe it's one moment of follow through, one pause instead of a panic spiral. That's how a new identity becomes something you live, not just something that you imagine. Number 4, normalize the discomfort of change. Stop reading discomfort as a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it's just a feeling of unfamiliarity. And knowing that can honestly save you years, because a lot of people bail on growth the moment it starts feeling strange. But strange is often just part of becoming new. The goal isn't one perfect breakthrough moment. The goal is a new normal. And a new normal is built through repetition, repeated awareness, repeated regulation, repeated congruent action, repeated reinforcement of who you're becoming. That's how you change what feels natural to you. People underestimate this because they're looking for the big dramatic transformation. But dramatic transformation is almost always the visible result of quiet, constant repetition. What changes a life isn't usually one huge moment, although it can happen. It's hundreds of small moments of choosing differently until a new way of being starts to feel like just you. Here's a question. I'd encourage you to come back to this often. What would the version of me I'm becoming do here? What would the version of me I'm becoming do here? Not the perfect version, not some fantasy ideal, just the real growing version of you. How would that version handle this situation? How would they respond to this money moment? How would they carry themselves in this conversation? That question builds a bridge between your identity and your actions. And the more you use it, the stronger that bridge gets. So if we bring this whole 3 video series together, here's the through line. Video 1, results aren't as random as they look. Video 2 was, there's a hidden mechanism underneath repeated outcomes. And today, change happens through awareness, reconditioning, and identity level repetition. Not force, not shame, not pretending. Awareness, choice, repetition, identity. Awareness, choice, repetition, and identity. Start working with those 4 things consistently, and your life will start shifting in ways that go deeper than you might expect right now. Why? Because you're not just trying to push new results into an old system anymore. You're becoming the kind of person for whom those results feel natural. And that's where real transformation actually lives. If this series of the 3 videos over the last 3 weeks, or in fact, any of my videos on this channel have resonated with you, make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And if you want to go even deeper into any of these themes, money mindset, identity work, subconscious reprogramming, how the law of attraction actually shows up in everyday life, drop it in the comments and let me know. And if you want one simple phrase to anchor everything from today, write this in the comments. I am changing what feels normal. Because that's exactly what this work is. Thanks so much for being here. This is John Williams, reminding you that your vision, your beliefs, and your emotions are shaping your future right now. Choose wisely, live abundantly, keep dreaming big, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.